Hello and welcome back to How About That Crypto, your home for crypto and Web3 news and updates with your host, Bitcoin Stylist. In today's news and updates, we will talk about Digital Currency Group or DCG, Genesis Trading, and the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and how they can bring the crypto world to its knees. Hashtag Armageddon. That's right. I am not joking or being exaggerating. I really do think that there's something here that could really crush crypto. Who is DCG? Who is Genesis? Who is Grayscale? What are their statuses? Should we worry? What are the possible outcomes? And how does it affect me, the crypto investor and enthusiast? And if you stay till the end, I have a very important update for all you Celsius customers and anybody using a yield generating platform earning interest on crypto. You do not want to miss this. Don't worry, I'm going to explain it all. First, please like, subscribe, comment, follow. It helps support me. It makes sure the information gets around. It helps the algorithm push it to other people. We need other people. So even if you already know all this stuff, someone else might not. So please leave a comment, follow, share, subscribe. I really appreciate it. Okay. Don't forget, this is not financial advice. Use the links below to do your own research. All right. So I have been talking to you about how Digital Currency Group or DCG is the final shoe we are waiting to drop. While everyone is consumed with the FTX scandal and worried about who signed the bond for Sam Bankman-Fried bail, I don't care. Like, I mean, maybe I might care, but I'm not gonna like talk about it or worry about it. I have some real news that will actually impact you. As far as I'm concerned, the FTX shit show is over for now. Don't worry, I'm going to stay on top of it and let you know the information as it plays out. But please do not expect me to follow the same clickbait BS that all the other people are following. All right. So, not to worry, I will still keep you updated on it if it's important. For example, today's news is super important. So, let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen. If you're listening on podcast, you can listen up or use the links below to follow on. You definitely want to check this out. All right. So you can see I have the Wikipedia page up. If you're listening on podcast, I have the Wikipedia page up. So we're going to start with who are the players. Digital Currency Group. Who is Digital Currency Group, otherwise known as DCG? All right, so here we go. This is a Wikipedia page. It says that Barry Silbert launched the Digital Currency Group in 2015. As of November of 2021, DCG had made over 200 investments in crypto. So I expect that number to be much bigger now. This hasn't been updated in over a year. So if you wonder where money is coming from for all these startups, well, they're definitely getting money from DCG. They invest, their portfolio is massive. DCG and Barry Silbert are like top dogs in this space, like so much money. They can get at capital and they just like helped this last run up big time. Although they've been in the game, since 2015. So anyway, all right, so I'm going to tell you that. All right, so here's the Digital Currency Group website, the epicenter of the Bitcoin and blockchain industry, it says. So I'm going to just like kind of scroll down here and you can see the subsidiaries, and it's important to know all this stuff. Genesis provides a full suite of service global investors require for the digital assets portfolios. It's basically a venture capital investing fund. They invest their money. It says it offers institutional funds, market makers, and other entities digital asset over-the-counter trading, institutional lending, custody, and prime brokerage services. Interesting. So they do the lending, basically. They do trading, but they also do lending. So it's not a venture capital fund. So Genesis is the lending platform and it has trading on it as well. Okay. So Genesis is lending and trading. All right. Grayscale is the world's largest digital currency asset manager. It sponsors 15 investment products. They have these trusts, and the trusts hold Bitcoin, hold Ethereum, and the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is traded on the stock market under the ticker GBTC, and they have over 600,000 Bitcoin. Okay, and then there's CoinDesk. I cite a lot of sources from CoinDesk. It's a publication. They have this Foundry, which is advisory company. We don't hear a lot about Foundry or TradeBlock or Luno, but this one down here, HQ, is important. I'll talk about that in a second. It's a wealth management membership platform for digital asset entrepreneurs and investors. So you got the most important people we're going to talk about today are the wealth management subsidiary, the lending and trading subsidiary Genesis, and the trusts by Grayscale. Okay, so don't worry, all the links are below. But you got DCG owns Genesis, Grayscale, and HQ. All right, so it's going to get confusing here. All right, I'm going to click on the portfolio. I'm not even going to tell you all these things, but you can see I'm scrolling through. If you're listening on podcasts, these are like, I'm just scrolling through in alphabetical order, all the companies, and the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. Big deal is basically what I'm trying to say. This is a huge important thing. Okay, so now that we know who DCG, Genesis, Grayscale, and HQ, which is the wealth management, are, let's dive into what you need to know. Other than that, obviously. So I'm going to start off with this article here. This is an article by Best Owie, or Owie. Yeah, Best Owie. And this is on Bitcoinist.com. The title is Bankrupt 3AC Founder Expects Genesis Bankruptcy. What happens to Grayscale? So if you remember from the summer, 3AC or Three Arrows Capital, they were the hedge fund that where everyone was giving their money to, and they imploded and crushed the market. At least that's how it appears, and that's how most people see it happen. I'm going to read a little bit for you here so that you can let's see, so you can kind of get an idea. This is really important stuff here. Okay, so the DCG and Genesis debacle continue to wax strong, with Grayscale Bitcoin Trust has taken some of the heat from this. The majority of the concerns have been raised around the ability of Digital Currency Group to be able to repay its debt to Genesis, which owes creditors a significant amount of money. Now, co-founder of bankrupt crypto hedge fund 3AC, Suzu, has joined the conversation, and his predictions could adversely impact Grayscale. So why do we care what this guy says? He like brought down his own fund and a bunch of other crypto stuff with it. Well, he's also plugged in, and it's really interesting. Plus, it also contains some information that you want to know. So what is really important part of this thing here is that it says Digital Currency Group, it says the ability of Digital Currency Group to be able to repay its debt to Genesis. So Digital Currency Group, it looks like it borrowed money from Genesis. So that's very interesting. Okay. But like, I mean, this whole thing is extremely confusing. So I'm trying to like track the whole thing as closely as possible. But I'm just like, we're going to work through this together. So just follow me. As reported by Bitcoinist on Tuesday, 3AC co-founder CEO Suzu published a Twitter thread detailing his take on the DCG drama. He explains that FTX and DCG, the parent company of Genesis, had conspired to attack Luna, whose decline would eventually lead to the crash of his own hedge fund. So he's saying that DCG and FTX, they conspired to attack Luna. And that brought down the market. You know, I don't know. I mean, FTX, knowing what Sam Bankman-Fried was all about, I wouldn't put him past him that he was trying to just like take advantage of a project that was probably doomed to fail anyway. I mean, honestly, Terra Luna people out there, I think you're nuts for putting a bunch of money in, because it was an experiment. And anytime anyone brings up Terra Luna as an example of why we need to be concerned about crypto, you just let them know no algorithmic uncollateralized stablecoin has worked in history. None. Zero. Okay. Just so everyone knows, zero have worked. So there's no reason that would work. So if you put a ton of money in there, that's your problem, my opinion. Anyway, if you disagree, let me know. Leave a comment below. Moving on. Okay. So anyway, he goes on to accuse the company of doing the hard questions, and that they allegedly continue to take deposits from investors for another 6 months, even though they knew they were insolvent. So what he's saying is that Genesis and DCG, it doesn't really kind of point out which one it is, but they're kind of one and the same. I know one's a parent company, one's a subsidiary, but they were taking money by depositors, even though they were already insolvent, but they didn't tell anybody. This is what he's saying. The most notable of the Twitter thread was that he expects the crypto lender Genesis to file for bankruptcy. If you remember yesterday, I told you about how the Winklevoss brother Cameron, the co-founder of Gemini Exchange, is threatening DCG. He didn't say what he's threatening him with, but what he could do is force them into an involuntary Chapter 11 if they don't pay him back. Remember, I told you that Genesis owes Gemini $900 million. And remember, this DCG, this Grayscale Bitcoin Trust cannot be liquidated. If it is liquidated, that's 600,000 Bitcoin going out onto the market. All right. Suzu says that creditors would push the economy to bankruptcy to take over the remaining DCG bankruptcy, which is a possibility. I'm going to read that again. He says that creditors would push the company to bankruptcy to take over the remaining DCG bankruptcy, which is a possibility. However, the implications of this would transcend just Genesis, as DCG is the parent company of Grayscale, which runs the largest Bitcoin trust in the world. So these just basically saying what I just said, like they could be forced into this. Over the last few weeks, there has been concern over the health of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust since the news of Genesis insolvency became public. So far, the fund has been able to hold up, and Coinbase confirmed that it does hold the over 600,000 Bitcoin in its custody service. But the question remains, what if Genesis were to file bankruptcy? Well, let's see. If Genesis files for bankruptcy, it would have to liquidate the DCG assets, which reportedly owes the crypto lender over $1.6 billion. Basically, instead of trying to follow all of this, the bottom line is think of DCG as like one family who's in trouble, a lot of trouble. They're loaning money and borrowing money amongst each other. They're taking other people's money and saying, oh, we're going to give you a good return. Don't worry. But secretly, they don't have the money and they already know they're about to fail. So that, my friends, sounds to me like a freaking Ponzi scheme or the beginning of one or something that does not sound legitimate. And I told you yesterday that Barry Silbert, the head of DCG, came out and was like, oh, no, nothing's going on here, just like Sam Bankman-Fried did. So I'm very, very concerned. Okay, so let's get some more information. Let's find out what the public is saying about Genesis. This is a Reddit thing I found. I think it's really good. So what happens if Genesis does file for bankruptcy? Is there any chance they ever give us our money back? Is there any good that can come from this or us? Or does the bankruptcy actually absolve them from paying back their creditors? So people are really uncertain what is going on, basically. Here we go. I mean, if they declare bankruptcy, then retail customers are getting back zero back or a few pennies on the dollar, best case. Exact same thing that happened to Celsius and Voyager's customers. If you use the earnings program, you have zero recourse per their terms of service. So I believe that I told you yesterday. Yeah. So yesterday oh no, I have to tell you this in a second, but yeah, this thing about earn programs, if you're earning interest on your money, it's not yours, just so you know. Okay. If you have crypto and it's earning interest, you need to take it out. Not financial advice, do whatever you want. I have taken all my money out of interest earning products, because once you give the money to somebody in exchange for a return, it is their property and they go and do what they want with it, and they don't necessarily have to give it back to you right when you ask for it. There's like a process there. So you've been warned, and I'll talk to you about that more. All right, here we go. I have $680,000 in earn. That's the Gemini. They're talking about Gemini here. I left it in earn specifically because of the blog post on November 11th, authored by the president and CEO. And I'm definitely filing a lawsuit if they don't make us whole. And then people go on to talk about, I had 680, I had 350,000, I had 6,000, I had all my money on there, my life savings were on there. They said they had no material exposure. So there's some problems here. So this isn't just DCG. Like Gemini is telling everybody that there's no problem, but Gemini is getting their information from Genesis, who Gemini is giving your money that you put in earn to Genesis, and they're turning around and lending it out and trying to make money off of it for you. And then they're passing on the interest and keeping some for themselves. That's how the business works. So the money isn't there, is my point. So like you can't redeem the money and get it back from Genesis if they don't have it. And apparently it's clear after yesterday's announcement. Yesterday's, I think it was yesterday, where I reported, or the day before, where I reported that the this open letter from the co-founder of Gemini, Cameron Winklevoss, he was saying that you haven't been faithful. You haven't been letting us know. Like, you're hiding the insolvency. There's a class action suit of Gemini earn customers against Genesis because they were lying. Okay, so let's go. I'll keep going on. Okay. All right. So let me move on to the next article. Okay, so this is the Wall Street Journal. This is an article by Caitlin Ostroff, Alexander Sadie, and Vicky Gi Wang. And it's called Crypto Lender Genesis Considers Bankruptcy, Lays Off 30% of Staff. Firm suffered steep losses from loans it supplied to Alameda and Three Arrows. So yes, Genesis does not have the money because they lost a ton of money, like $1 billion or more. Maybe it was $2 billion to Three Arrows, and they had like $1 billion on FTX or with Alameda. So yeah, they're hurting right now. So yes, your money is gone. My money is probably gone too, because I had a little bit, not that much. I had moved it all out this summer when the initial crash happened. Which I hope you all did too. You know, you can't trust what people say. This is crypto. You're not supposed to have to trust people, okay? All right. So, Wall Street Journal says massive crypto lender Genesis Global Trading Inc. laid off 30% of its staff and is considered filing for bankruptcy. Boom, right there. According to people familiar with the matter, the latest sign of financial turmoil at the crypto lender. Until this drops, we don't know where the bottom is in crypto. So all those moon boys out there talking about the bottom, I'm sorry, but like, I think they don't know what to talk about. I think they're just guessing because they want you to listen. But so anyway, the layoffs weren't confined to one department and were across the entire company. Some of the people said Genesis has 145 employees left. Genesis is working with investment bank Moelis and Co. to evaluate its options for the future, including a potential chapter level filing. The Genesis spokeswoman said that the firm is working with its advisors to preserve client assets and move the business forward. Okay, so this is a mess. So like everybody's like, oh, no, everything's fine. And then the pressure comes, to more time passes. And after a certain amount of time, there's only so much you can do. And the crypto market did come back up. So they're screwed. So it sounds like, you know, if you're laying off 30% and they're talking with these people about Chapter 11, it's a good chance they do. And they own a ton of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust stock. So they'll have to sell it, which means the Grayscale Bitcoin stock is going to drop like crazy, most likely, unless they try to liquidate the entire trust. And then Bitcoin, with 600,000 Bitcoin being sold, will just go, who knows? I mean, not zero, but like, I don't know, 5,000 less. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a quantitative analyst, but and I'd love to see somebody do something on that. But anyway, so it looks like this is the last shoe to drop. Hopefully it's the last shoe to drop, but it definitely feels like it. All right, so I'm going to keep moving. I would love to hear what you all think. I'm going to keep moving on. CoinDesk. This is, remember, you know, DCG owns CoinDesk. Crypto conglomerate DCG closes their wealth management business. This is by Nick Baker. The division reportedly had more than $3.5 billion in assets. So let's see here. Make sure I'm in the right place. Okay. So Digital Currency Group, the currency conglomerate whose Genesis Global Trading Division just announced more layoffs and a possible bankruptcy, is shutting down wealth management division called HQ. So they're shutting down another subsidiary so they can pull all as much money as they can and stop spending money. Due the state of the broader economic environment and prolonged crypto winter presenting significant headwinds to the industry, we made the decision to wind down HQ as of January 31st. The company said in a statement Thursday, "We're proud of the work that the team has done and look forward to potentially revisiting the project in the future." The information reported on the closure earlier saying the business had more than $3.5 billion assets under management. So yeah, that's a big deal. I feel like, you know, I mean, DCG is like shutting down all of their businesses potentially. Here's another really interesting thing. You got people are fleeing DCG, people of high stature and power and influence. Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary and Dean of Harvard School, like Harvard University, apparently, this is really interesting. He's listed as an advisor on the DCG on their website. Well, and that kind of makes sense, I guess, because, well, I don't know why they would be on the why he would be on the DCG. But anyway, he's on there, and he took himself off of his website. And when they were asked for comment, why is he not listed as an advisory board member for DCG anymore? The spokesperson, a Summers spokesperson, said that the professor's resignation from DCG was part of a scaling back of commitments, but declined to detail what other positions Summers has also recently given up. So I think that's BS. I think they're just trying to save their ass. You know, it makes sense. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. Let's see. I think it makes a whole lot of sense here. Sorry, I'm just like looking for something. I think it makes a lot of sense because if this company is going under, or they're gonna get caught up in some sort of scandal, like if in fact DCG and Genesis were concealing the fact that they were insolvent for months, like the people in Reddit and like the report I gave you yesterday, is like all the accusations. If they are accurate, and you're like a high stature person, you don't want to be anywhere near this. You don't want to be pulled down with these people doing shady stuff when you're like a stand-up person. Anyway, all right, let's move on. So just I thought this was really interesting. Barry Silbert is now broke. He started the whole thing. It says Barry Silbert, the boy that spent his bar mitzvah money to trade baseball cards, now has money. Forbes, which specializes in estimating net worth, says Silbert is now worth $0, down from $3 billion. So there you go. He that's kind of just what happens, unfortunately. So, all right. So here we go. I'm going to keep moving on. All right. So you made it to the end. You can see like why I am obsessed with DCG way more than FTX. FTX caught everybody by surprise, but the DCG Genesis situation, the impact that FTX had, and the impact that the summer crash of Terra Luna and 3 Arrows Capital had on them, and the fact that they are really like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, investors in the space, means that tons of money is going to could dry up. It means that like development in the space could slow down, which means that crypto is kind of effed. Okay, I mean, honestly, I think it's not good, and I don't think that we just necessarily bounce back. But I kind of think, but I believe, so I think we will bounce back. But there's a good reason to think that if this drops, you might want to be wary about crypto. I mean, you might want to be wary about crypto anyway. But if this all goes down, I'm gonna buy more, and then I'm probably gonna like just stop paying attention to it until it goes up. I don't know. Anyway, you made it to the end. Let me know your thoughts about this. What do you think is going to happen? I would like to know, because like I am trying to figure out what I think is going to happen. Anyway, I could talk like kind of go back and forth of uncertainty all day. I mean, that's what I do all day in my head, about whether or not to buy more. And you know what I usually end up doing? Buying more. Okay, so now all you Celsius customers and anyone earning interest on crypto, I have something for you. You do not want to miss this. All right, so I got a little video for you. This is an article on CoinDesk by Nicolesh D. It's called Celsius Earn Assets Belong to Bankrupt Crypto Lender. Judge rules. The move confirms that crypto platform customers do not own their assets if they're using certain services or products. There you go. If you're earning interest, it's not yours. It's not yours until you get it back. And there's a process to get it back. And that process might mean that you don't get it all back, because there is risk. When you give someone else money, you have risk. And then when they give someone else that money, then you got like counterparty and third party, like multiple party risks of them not, like, imagine you put money into Earn and Gemini goes under, and they don't have to pay you back. Boom. They give the money to Genesis. Well, it sucks for you. So this is going to have a huge impact on all the Gemini Earn customers. It's also going to insulate Gemini from this class action lawsuit, potentially. Anyway, here you go. I'm going to let you hear it first.
In what appears to be a setback to account holders at Celsius, a bankruptcy court has ruled that Celsius earn assets belong to the bankrupt crypto lender. Let's dive a little bit deeper here with CoinDesk Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk State of Crypto newsletter. Hello, Nick.
Hey, good morning.
Well, that's some bad news if you had an account there at Celsius. It looks like Mashinsky controls it, and not you, not your keys, not your crypto. Correct? Is that what we're looking at here?
Yeah, so this is a ruling from U.S. bankruptcy judge Martin Glenn yesterday in the Celsius bankruptcy case. The short version is he said that the terms of service for Celsius were, quote, unambiguous in ruling that assets held and deposited on the Celsius Earn platform belong to Celsius, not to the customers. And this is pretty significant because there's a number of crypto lenders that are currently going through bankruptcy, and there's a couple other platforms out there that, they're not bankrupt, and we don't know for sure what exactly the state of their finances are, but they've kind of indicated some warning signals. So the PLDR for crypto customers is that really read the terms of service of the platforms you're using. That's really what it comes down to. To kind of expand on that, what the judge said is that, Celsius customers who deposited their funds into the Earn product essentially turned over the ownership of these funds to Celsius because that's what Celsius said was happening. And, this is the kind of thing where we're talking about a very specific lender right now, but if you're using an exchange, if you're using another lender, if you're using really any kind of, crypto platform where you're giving them your assets, probably a similar situation would happen if they also ended up going into bankruptcy.
Exactly. So there you go. You heard it all here first. There's been, a lot of facts that you could put a story together. The story I'm putting together is that something's going to go. There's a shoe going to drop, and hopefully it's a little shoe. Let me know what you think. Let me know. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Hodl on.